We, we spent my time in DC together. I didn't know her. I got somebody that met. I got somebody that more than my dress after. But good to see you. Good luck to you. Glad to see you in the
It's 4:30, right? I'm just waiting until everybody is seated. I'm sure a lot will happen. I wish I had some. The June 20th, 2023 Ways and Means Committee is now called to order. I will call on Council Member Parker. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. Who? Paquin. You're up. I will call on Councilmember Saccharine for our invocation.
This will be a short one, so. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. In your name, amen.
Amen. Can you give me 1 second? I need to get my. Happy belated Juneteenth, everyone. Next, we'll have approval of the May 23rd, 2023 minutes. Do I hear a second? Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Bids and purchases. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Item 4. Moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye. This is another for the fire department. Do I hear a motion? Item 5. Mhm. All in favor, say aye. Item 6, traffic and transportation. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Item 7, stormwater management.
Second.
Just had one question. Going from the 542, 490 to 3,905,000. Okay. I just want to sort of make sure I understand why that's happening. Who can? Oh, Mayor? Sure.
So the way I understand this particular project, it's more of a design build project rather than a design bid build.
Mhm.
So our initial contract with Ruby Collins Inc. was just for the initial design. The whole project is going to probably likely be $10 million or more. This portion of the project is just to order the pumps and the equipment that we know we are going to need for the project. The lead times are quite long, so they want to go ahead and get those on order. But I had to ask the same question. It's a little deceptive. Normally,
Right.
we come up with the big number for the initial contract with them, but the way this was structured as design build, we contracted with Ruby Collins with a budget in mind, but it wasn't actually in our contract and our procurement. And then as each order and final design comes along, we'll see some bigger numbers rolling along, just like as we did here.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, I mean, that's not going to change. Okay, thank you. Ms. Wharton said no.
Yeah, that's why it's the right maximum.
Without our
Yeah.
approval.
Any
Yes.
more discussion on this item? Yes, Councilmember Waring.
I think, and of course, Councilman Boyd could touch bases on this a little better than I, but I think the goal is, while the kids are out of school, to try to get this as much work done as possible with the goal of trying to get it repaired properly prior to and replaced before school opens back up.
That's the next one. This
Oh.
number 7, we're still on.
My mind is on
Still
the
on
bridge,
7.
man. My mind is on building the
We're
bridge.
still on 7. Yes. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item number 8. Councilmember Waring, you had any?
I'm gonna defer to Councilmember Boyd in his
Okay.
district.
Councilmember Boyd.
I didn't have anything to say. This is just purchasing the mitigation credits for the bridge project that we approved last month. In order to build the bridge, we have to have these mitigation credits. So necessary evil.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 9, Parks and Capital Projects. Any discussion on resurfacing the bikeway? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 10, Parks and Capital Projects. Any discussion on approval for Fire Station number 19? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 11, Parks and Capital Projects. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 12,
Second.
moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 13, moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Councilman.
I just have a quick question. So 11, 12, and 13 are change orders all for basically a similar item. Could we get just a little bit of explanation as to why 3 different change orders?
Is,
Yes.
oh, here, Edmund
Yes,
is here.
Edmund.
Edmund Mose. Come forward. Thank you, Edmund.
Sorry, I didn't get to hear the full question. I was back
Just,
there.
it's 3 change orders for basically the same
Sure.
item. So just trying to understand why.
So back in the summer, when we were having mechanical measuring challenges with getting the humidity control at that certain level, we actually had a task force of the contractor, the design team, myself, and the museum. We're basically diagnosing the problem, and these fee amendments are kind of consecutive. So they
Okay.
basically gave us a not to exceed of, I don't remember the first one, $50,820. It was a not to exceed, so they were utilizing that fee until there was no more, and then they would go and request another one. So that's
Got it.
why you're seeing consecutive ones like that.
That's,
So-
Did the warranty or something wear off? Did we have a
We've been on
warranty?
Warranty for a while, but this team has been very dedicated that they're going to continue to work with us if there's any other problems in the future as well too. Contractor as well as the design team.
Is it possible to extend the warranty? Just in case?
Contractually, probably that's too late to do that.
Mm.
But we do have a warranty in place. The city is giving the IAM a warranty through, I believe it's Julia. That's September. I think it's September.
Okay.
Yep. We give them an additional 6 months on top of the year already.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions or discussions? Councilmember Waring?
Mr. Most, I think maybe if you could add on that a little bit, one reason it was extended was because of the delay of the CO being had. I mean, there's a reason to extend the warrant, the city's warranty another 6 months.
Yeah, it was because we were going through this process of diagnosing what that humidification
Right.
challenges were. And to
Right.
dig into it a little bit more, we didn't know that was going to be artifact type of exhibitry in this museum at the beginning. So the system was really never designed for artifacts.
Right.
But with this group that came in, they said, wouldn't it be nice if we could bring in artifacts? So we had to kind of change on the fly and create a more complicated humidification system. And there's challenges with doing that. So we did extend the warranty specifically after we've ironed out those problems.
Yeah, I want to point out the support that the city's given by extending that warranty another 6 months, because until you actually get in the building and get operative, you really don't know how that system's gonna react. It's reacting pretty well so far, and we hope we'll continue to do the same, but we're all in this together. So that support from the city, I just wanted to reinforce, goes beyond the contractor's warranty. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or discussions on this item? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. I will now turn it over to Chairman Ross, the real estate report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The City of Charleston Real Estate Committee met June 12th at 4 o'clock. This was last week. And we had a full agenda. I'm going to go through my report now. First item up was the approval of a 4th amendment to a management agreement between the City of Charleston and the Charleston Digital Corridor Foundation for space over in West Edge. And this is space that the city subleases out to an entity called the Low Country Center for Veterans Research. They're engaged in some pretty interesting brain research that's geared towards supporting our military veterans. And the terms of this arrangement between the city and this entity are that the nonprofit essentially covers the rent. This is not a huge, financial, burden on the city's part. And the committee voted unanimously to approve that Fourth Amendment. The next item on the agenda had to do with the Pinefield Fire Station. This was a request for a third amendment to that commercial lease for another 3-year term and an option to renew, all terms being the same. That item was approved unanimously. The next item had to do with the Charleston Children's Museum of the Low Country, which is located between John and Ann Street downtown. And if you haven't been there before, I've had really no reason to go there until I had a child. It's a pretty awesome place, and they've got plans to take that organization to the next level. We've had several rounds of discussions around this table and in committee about the various means to go about that. There have been various proposals that have been thrown out that have been sent back to the drawing board, but the organization has a new executive director now, and they've come forward with a proposal that would entail an extended lease term till 2040 with a 10-year option. 2 council members are now going to be serving on the board. And we're also going to fund $1.2 million of hospitality tax to help them take their facility up to the next level, which was the goal all along. And there's also some obligations for the city to continue funding maintenance to the tune of $50,000 a year annually to kind of help the Children's Museum, moving forward. And I think the committee received this well. I think the executive director did a great job presenting to the committee, and this item was approved unanimously as well. The next item up had to do with nothing other than the weight room at the Stony Field. And this item was approved unanimously. We had a very good discussion, Councilman Waring and I, about how part of weightlifting necessarily involves weights hitting the floor. You want to do it in a controlled manner, of course, but we're making proper accommodations to make sure that correct weightlifting can take place as part of this authorization, and that approved unanimously as well. Next item had to do with a multi-family project. This is located over on Cunnington Avenue. This is next to the new Hope Center, and it's calling for 98 units. This is a ground lease arrangement. A city put out an RFP for this project. A group called Conifer Developers, Inc. responded. Their proposal is to provide this housing at the range of 30 to 80% AMI, which serves a very important subsection of our community. And that was approved unanimously as well. There's language in that agreement.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
So it will remain affordable in perpetuity?
Well, certainly for as long as this lease runs, which is a very long time. So it's a 60-year lease, and the city maintains the property at the end of the lease term because it's a ground lease, as we talked about. And so this is going to be much longer affordability being locked in than we're used to seeing in some of these deals. And one thing to point out is as part of this agreement, the developer has a 1-year option to kind of exercise their rights to proceed after entering into the agreement. And this has to do with the fact that the state affordable housing tax credits, the LIHTC, deals are currently in a bit of a flux at the State House. And they're monitoring that, because if that doesn't materialize, they may not be able to move forward with this deal. So we want to encourage our friends in Columbia to help keep that program going, as it's had such a positive impact here in our community.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think part of our discussion included at the end of that 60-year period, does that property convert to the city, or we have the right of first refusal?
It doesn't convert because we own the property throughout the whole 60 years. We're just leasing the property to the developer. It's a ground lease. So we never are divested of fee simple title of the property.
To the units as well?
Oh, yeah, and we get all the improvements. I'm not sure what they're going to look like in 60 years. I don't think, probably none of us will be around to see it, but hopefully they maintain it
Speak
pretty
for
well.
yourself.
I mean, I eat my vegetables and try to exercise a little bit, but that's pretty old.
Okay.
So that was approved unanimously. And next item up, item F, was an affordability project as well. This is the Low Line Affordable Housing Site. This was just a 1-year extension to the lease, and they've actually gone through the BAR process. We can't blame this one on the difficulties of getting BAR approval. This again has to do with monitoring Columbia for these state tax credits. So this is an example of 2 projects that are kind of hanging in the balance for that reauthorization at the state level. And then we had an executive session regarding the potential acquisition of some properties over in West Ashley. No action was taken coming out of executive session. And then we had a presentation regarding Sumar Street from Eric Pullman, our West Ashley coordinator. He did a great job of giving us a full rundown of the 3 options that are on the table for council's consideration today: option 1, option 2, option 3. He went through the history of where we started and where we are. And the committee unanimously was of the mind that we would defer voting at the real estate committee, and we would instead put this issue to full council after the opportunity to hear, so everybody could hear the presentation from Mr. Pullman. And given the public interest in this development and as demonstrated by all the folks that we have in the audience today, we thought it would be appropriate to allow the presentation to be given to full council and to hear from the public before we all vote on that project. I'm sure everybody's got something to say about this. We're going to have that opportunity to do that. But I think the real estate committee was of the mind that we put that to full council for a vote. And then finally,
Before we move on H, I do think that at a minimum, council can have discussion without taking action, and still have the presentation for the public, Councilman Bowen, during our regular council meeting. Most of the council members have already reviewed all of the options because it was a part of our package. And I do think that the presentation on the options would be better for the public. But I think that right now, as we did prior, council can have some discussions now on this particular item and on real estate, if they so desire. I see 2 hands, Stephen.
Yeah, I'd move to defer this to the city council meeting. It's on that agenda. Folks are here to speak on that. We've gotten a tremendous amount of feedback, at least I have, in the various ways that I've put it out to constituents and the broader West Ashley and Charleston communities. And so,
So your motion is to defer discussion.
Yeah, well, that was actually, that's what the committee did. The committee sent it to full city council. The committee didn't send it to real estate, or didn't send it to Ways and Means.
It comes, it's $45 million is coming here.
No, and I understand that, and Ways and Means comes before city council as well. It's on that part of the agenda as well. So if we want to discuss it twice in the full city council meeting.
Oh, I'm not suggesting that we discuss it twice. Okay. What I'm suggesting is that we discuss it now, then give the public an opportunity to review it, because we've all seen it, to review it. Okay. And also have a comment period, as we normally do during council meeting. Okay. For the public.
Fair enough. Well, I've made a motion to defer it. I'm gonna stick with that. It's been seconded as he correctly notes. And I think that the public deserves to have us debate this in front of them. I'm sure they're not done showing up yet, as we know. Traffic
There's
is an
not much
issue.
more room.
Traffic. Well, we've dealt with that issue before, and actually, to pretty good point, because it'd be great if we had some space in West Ashley to have had that.
I still think it's too large
I
in
think
West
it'd be-
Ashley.
I think it'd be.
Let's not do
uh,
it. Order. Let's not do that.
I think
okay?
it'd be appropriate to have this entire conversation in front of the people who took time out of their lives, away from their families, away from their jobs, away from whatever other obligations they had, to be with us tonight and weigh in and be part of the operation of their government.
Oh, I'm not, I think we're in the same place. I'm just saying that we do that during council session after they have seen the review. Yes, there's a motion on the floor, by the
Yeah,
way.
there's a motion on the floor to defer item H until we have a full discussion at council. I would ask respectfully that we grant that motion and vote on that motion. And this, for the reasons that Councilman Bowden is pointing out. We're going to have a very spirited discussion, I would suspect, on item H. And it's a very important discussion that we need to have. It's an item that's been working on almost 6 years.
More than that.
Yeah, more than that. I mean, probably longer than as I can remember. So we've got a room full of folks already who I suspect are here to talk about this project. And there'll be people who will show up as well, I think, after when we get to that point at council meeting. So.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think.
I'm not saying for us not to. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, we're discussing $45 million and we can do that right now.
We could.
Without taking action until after we hear from the public. Either way, we've got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, and
Yes.
let me just finish my thoughts,
Yes,
if I
okay.
may, Mr. Chairman. And so, to avoid a duplicate discussion, and so that everybody hears the same discussion at one time, just out of abundance of fairness, I think that's the right move to take. I think the expectation, quite frankly, from the public is that they're not going to understand the nuances of our procedure with this is coming through real estate, Ways and Means, and then we do have the option to address it at full council. Let's just make it simple and straightforward and bring it up at the full council meeting.
Councilmember Waring.
That sounds good, Mr. Chairman, but the reality is we have a different presiding officer at city council. The ability for council members to speak on the issue could very well be limited at city council meeting. You'll be gavelled to a close. I suspect that will happen today. At Ways and Means, we're subject to have more latitude. This isn't any different than any other subject that's funded through the city. It comes through Ways and Means. If the public disagrees with the vote in Ways and Means, then they do have the public comment period at city council. That's what it's for. When this issue comes up, all of these people here and online will be heard. The idea about not having full discussions on potentially $45 million of taxpayers' dollars after having been caught up, frankly, in the mayor's office for the better part of 6 years. We need to have that discussion. And as we would normally do in Ways and Means, vote. Now, if people at the public hearing changes minds and hearts at city council, then that vote with city council would rule the day. That's the way Robert Rules of Order would work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? We do have a motion on the floor. The motion is to, yes, Mayor?
Respectfully, I would support the deferral so that we can have one kind of together conversation about this topic. It is about 5 o'clock. So city council is time-wise ready to begin already. There's certainly folks here for other parts of the meeting. And if we wanted to discuss it twice, I think that would take considerable time of Ways and Means. As council knows, the final approval of any matter on Ways and Means actually occurs
Correct.
during city council. When
Correct.
we take up the committee report, we've had the precedent of oftentimes even undoing something that got done during Ways and Means when we get to city council. So let's just do it one time would be my.
Well, I
uh,
mean,
recommendation.
thanks for reminding me that it's 5 o'clock, because if it's 5 o'clock, that means that everybody that's coming to council meeting to hear what's going on is already here. And you know, I still think that this is a discussion that should be had at Ways and Means. It's $45 million. Yes, council member.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just note that for people to come and sit and then watch a discussion when at 5 o'clock, they're taking time out of their lives to come to have an audience before council to express their opinion, to then have us sit here and pontificate and bloviate and do it twice while making them sit there, to me is inherently unfair. That they've come out. We already have it scheduled to have the discussion. It's been noticed as such on the city council meeting agenda. I would argue that under FOIA anyway, that is where the public would have assumed action would have been taken. So to do it twice and to try and do it while delaying people that have already come, I think is inherently unfair.
And if I may, I totally disagree with you on that. And the reason why I disagree is that it won't be discussed twice with council. Let council have its discussions now and take action now. And when it goes to the full council, we will have an opportunity at that point to hear the public's concerns and issues and recommendations, okay? And sure, we could have further discussion, but why? I would let you, if you're ready to vote, I mean.
Let's vote.
Okay, moved in properly seconded. We do it by roll call. And this is to vote on deferring discussions on $45 million, okay, from Ways and Means. So just so we're clear what we're doing. Council member, I'm sorry, you call it. Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk. I don't need any more power. I've got Jesus.
Councilmember Grant. Councilmember Shealy.
Nay.
Councilmember Zachary.
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Nay.
Councilmember Brady. Councilmember Gregory.
Nay.
Councilmember Waring.
Nay.
Good nay.
Nay.
Councilmember Shea. Councilmember Bowden.
Aye, and I would like the opportunity to explain my vote.
Aye, and I would like the opportunity as well.
Councilmember Parker.
Nay.
Mayor Tucker.
Vote to defer.
This is a
Just to
vote to
defer,
defer,
yes.
yes.
Aye.
It's 6-6. Motion
6-6.
fails. 6-6, motion fails. Okay, so we're gonna have our discussion.
So I'd like the opportunity to explain my vote,
Sure.
and I'll take my full 2 minutes, I imagine.
You got more than that, actually.
So again, and I appreciate that you've decided that I get more than that. I do have a little bit of a problem with the reason that we're doing this, which is expressly forum shopping. If I walked into a courtroom and said, no, judge, I don't want to go in front of you. I would like to go in front of this judge. They would file an ethics complaint. I could lose my license to practice law because it's so offensive to the administration of justice to decide that one presiding officer gets to apply one set of rules and one presiding officer gets to apply another. But more importantly, I just cannot emphasize enough that this is what people hate about government, that we are avoiding having this discussion in the light of day with as many people here as could possibly take the time to make it here today, to weigh in on this issue. And here we are having one portion of it as when we have a full opportunity with the exact same rules to debate it later. To say that we're not going to debate spending $45 million is patently absurd. Of course, we're going to debate that. That's the entire substance of the debate. I mean, there's legitimate discussions about what sort of programming we should have on this site, but $45 million is the entire substance of the debate. I imagine that the public will not look kindly on this decision, and they shouldn't. And frankly, we deserve every negative word that will be said about it.
Councilmember Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just point out, we're still kind of in the real estate committee report that I was giving. And I was I still am the chairman of the real estate committee, and I remember what happened at the committee. And Councilman Gregory, you've instilled in me an appreciation for the committee structure and the importance of the committee structure that we have in the city. And the committee talked about what we were going to do today about this Sumar Street project. And the decision was made at the time that we weren't going to vote at the committee, and we were going to send the matter to full council so that, and this is where it's important, so that we could first hear from Eric, then we can hear from the public, and then we can have a full, what will be none other than a full-blown knockdown, drag-out discussion and debate about whether we spend $45 million or any other dollars on this. So I would just like to say that this motion to deny, well, I mean, I would submit that what's, the report that I'm giving is just that. That is what the committee did. The Ways and Means Committee is disregarding what happened at the real estate committee meeting by bifurcating sort of a discussion here and then a vote there. I just think the most natural, efficient way to proceed tonight is we get the report, we hear from the public, and then we have the discussion. So we don't have to do it twice. As Councilmember Bowden pointed out, this project is not suffering from a lack of analysis, discussion, and debate. Okay, there's been plenty of it, and we're going to have more of it today. I just don't think we need to slice and dice this up and play procedural games, frankly. I mean, I think that this is what people are frustrated with, and I think we just ought to go about it in a more logical way. So that's why I voted yes.
Yes.
So Councilman and Chairman Appel had not finished his report. And part of the report was that we adopt the recommendation of the whole issue. So he has a sub-report of the Ways and Means Committee. He had not finished his report, and I would suspect at some point in time, he was going to ask that his report be adopted.
We can do
Part,
that now.
part of that report included that the item H be deferred to the full council. So we kind of jumped the gun a little bit on procedural wise. Before he could finish his report, you interjected and said, let's take up H now. So I'm asking our parliamentarian, since we have not finished the report, and his recommendation would have been to go to the full council, then shouldn't his report be adopted or debated first before we made the motion to defer?
No, I think that we can complete his report. I think we can repeat the annexations, because I think that's what we're talking about here, right? That's what's next.
The next item on the agenda of his report would have been
Our
item I.
annexations, right?
But his full report included A,
And-
B, C, D, and we,
I-
let me just finish for a second. We had not finished his report. I don't think he yielded. I think he got interrupted by the chair. The chair wanted to take up item H. So I'm raising this as a point of order. That's all. I'm just asking for, making sure we're clear on this.
Okay, point of order. I heard you.
Yeah, and the second thing I would ask, and I think you just mentioned this, Mr. Chairman, that let's finish the report on the annexation before we do anything else, so we can finish the report.
Sure.
Yeah.
Councilmember Park, I'm sorry for.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not know that that was discussed during the real estate committee, so I would like to change my vote to aye.
We could change minds around here.
Can we change vote? Okay, so it's okay. No, I mean, either way is fine with me. Okay, so that's now approved, deferred. Okay, so you can move forward with your report.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Councilmember Parker. I appreciate that. We also considered 12 annexations, which I think was a record certainly since I've been on council, and those were all unanimously approved and sailed through. And with all that being said, I would like to offer the full report from the real estate committee up
Second.
for council approval in the form of a motion.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Before I adjourn, as the chairman of this body, it is very important that I protect what we're supposed to do. And all I'm doing is doing what the chairman of this body is responsible to do. This is an anomaly for me. I've never seen it happen quite this way. And all of the adjectives that I've heard, it's unbelievable what we're getting ready to get into, guys. Let's just take a chill pill, okay? Before we really take this to a place that would be very embarrassing for this body. Yes, Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one final thing. If things are, I would hope that this body, that is why I changed my, but that this body will conduct itself in a way that the presiding officer, the presiding officer will hold themselves, to a place and let everyone speak fairly,
Robustity. I heard some things today that I've really never quite heard in this chamber. Yes, Councilmember.
Your point is well taken and well stated, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. I was going to actually make a comment, item C of Mr. Rappel's report, which is dealt with the Children's Museum, and I just wanted to add a comment. I think that we were introduced to the new director of the Children's Museum, if I recall correctly. There had been a major pivotal change with the direction, and a lot of credit to Councilmember Waring, because we had this discussion about selling or leasing it, and there was a revision clause in there, and I think this body is pretty much adverse to these clauses that give revision back to the city in case it's not being used. So the Children's Museum, and I remember Councilmember Shealy and I, in a pouring down rain, went over there and took a tour of the museum. Is such an important asset to the community, because it's particularly a summer program, reaches out to many children in the community. For those of us who have raised children and my young colleagues who are having children, raising them now, having things to do in the summer in the city of Charleston is different. And particularly if you live on the peninsula, those opportunities seem even scarcer. So the Children's Museum, its success is a city success. And I think we were all just delightfully appreciative of the pivot that they made in coming up with this option on, which we approved on item 9C. And I look forward to that continued positive relationship we'll have with them in the near future. So I just wanted the public to hear that and where we're going. This is a good thing overall that we're having. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think so. too.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilmember Waring.
I want to follow up on what Councilmember Sheehy just said. The new director is a breath of fresh air. Frankly, the previous director was had a line in the sand, us against them, meaning the museum against the city. Rumor had it, possibly even legal actions being taken. This lady, this CEO, is a person that realizes we're stronger working together. I mean, I look forward to, and I think everybody else does, look forward to working with this lady. And she certainly has a can-do attitude of getting things done. So I look forward to working with her in the years to come. Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to highlight just a couple of items, as I sometimes do on our agenda, because we do sometimes just move right through it. We discussed briefly the difference in funds on that change order. But the important point is that we are proceeding with the Concord Pump Station refit and renovation, which is now 25 years old and a major component of our stormwater system for the Upper East Peninsula or mid East Peninsula, down Meeting Street and Calhoun Street over to the pump station. Secondly, the moving ahead with the second phase of the West Ashley Bikeway resurfacing. I think that's mostly in Councilmember Waring's district. It goes through Ardmore. We had done the first phase of it a year or so ago. And in conjunction with that, the county will soon be proceeding with a better connection from the bikeway over to Wapu Road for the down Wapu Road to connect with the refurbished Greenway. So this is a step forward, y'all, in our better connectivity West Ashley. Thirdly, well, good shout out already went to the Children's Museum. I ditto that. But lastly, this thank staff, Gianna Shaw Johnson, our housing and legal departments on this new lease for the 98 units of affordable housing on Cunnington. And just to remind everybody, that's going to be right next door to our new permanent location for the Hope Center, which provides services for those who are homeless and those who are at risk of becoming homeless. And so we'll really have a holistic combination of wraparound services for those in need, plus housing right next door to it, Mr. Chairman, in the 30 to 80% AMI range. So that's going to be long-term, a very powerful combination for helping those who are unhoused or at risk of becoming unhoused.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say one thing before I adjourn. Committee chairmen, I'm talking about all of us, don't allow your chairmanships to be diminished. We've got to watch what we're doing very closely here. Because I think what we just did, has taken away from this chairmanship. We need to be careful. And taken away for political reasons, I adjourn.